picture this scenario, because I guarantee almost everyone listening has felt this specific dread in the pit of their stomach. You are driving to work, already running 5 minutes late, when suddenly, the check engine light pops on. Your heart drops. You know, logically, that it's probably a sensor or a hose that costs $300 to fix right now. But you check your banking app, and you have exactly $42 to your name until Friday. So, you make a choice. You ignore it. You turn up the radio to drown out that weird rattling sound. You pray to the car gods. 2 months go by. Because you didn't have that $300, the car finally dies on the highway. You need a tow truck. That's $200. The cheap part that was broken has now destroyed your transmission. That is $2,000. And because you can't get to work, you miss shifts and lose wages. That initial inability to pay $300 has spiraled into a $2,500 catastrophe. This isn't just bad luck. This is a mathematical trap. It is the distinct, suffocating cost of not having money. My name is Steve, and on this channel, we look at the invisible equations that keep people stuck on the hamster wheel. If you feel like you are working harder every year, but your net worth is flatlining, hit that subscribe button. Today, we aren't talking about crypto or getting rich quick. We are talking about why being broke is the most expensive hobby you can have. Most financial gurus get this wrong. They tell you that wealth is a result of discipline and poverty is a result of buying lattes. That is nonsense. It ignores a fundamental economic reality known as the Boots theory of socio-economic unfairness. The theory comes from a character named Sam Vimes in a Terry Pratchett novel, and honestly, it explains the wealth gap better than a Harvard textbook. It goes like this. Take two men. One is rich, one is poor. The rich man buys a pair of $50 boots. They are high-quality leather. They last him 10 years. The poor man cannot afford $50. He is $10. So, he buys the cheap, cardboard-soled boots, but those fall apart after one season. So next year, he spends another 10, and the year after that. Over the same 10-year period, the poor man has spent $100 on boots, double what the rich man spent. And yet, he still has wet feet. The rich man is dry, comfortable, and $50 richer. This is the math of poverty. You are forced to pay a premium for the lack of capital. You might be thinking, Steve, that's a story about boots. But look around you. This dynamic is everywhere. Take toilet paper. Seriously, if you have $50 to spare, you go to a warehouse store and buy the mega pack. The cost per roll is 50 cents. You are set for months. But if you are living paycheck to paycheck, you don't have $50 to lock up in inventory. You have the dollars. So you go to the corner store and buy the 4-pack. The cost per roll is $1.50. You are paying 3 times more for the exact same product, simply because you couldn't afford the bulk price. This is the poverty premium. It applies to mayonnaise, laundry detergent, diapers, everything. If you are broke, your personal inflation rate is higher than a rich person's because you are locked out of efficiency. But it gets darker than groceries. Let's talk about banking. If you have $10,000 in your checking account, the bank treats you like royalty. No fees, free checks. But let's say you are struggling. You have $20 in your account. A subscription you forgot about hits for $25. You are now negative $5. Does the bank say, hey, looks like you're having a rough month, we got you? No. They hit you with a $35 overdraft fee. Think about the math on that. You effectively borrowed $5 for a day, and it cost you $35. That is an annualized interest rate of 700%. If a loan shark did that, they would go to prison. When a bank does it, it's just policy. It is a direct wealth transfer from the bottom to the top. Now, critics will say, just make better decisions. And theoretically, sure. But we have to talk about the scarcity mindset. Studies show that when you are legitimately worried about money when you don't know how you're going to pay rent, your functional IQ drops by about 13 points. That is the equivalent of missing a full night of sleep. Your brain is so consumed with immediate survival that you physically lose the capacity to make long-term plans. This is why broke people take payday loans or eat fast food. It's not because they are dumb. It's because their cognitive bandwidth is maxed out trying to survive today. The rich man doesn't just save money on boots, he saves the mental energy of not worrying about his feet. He can use that energy to invest. The poor man is stuck in a loop of low-level panic. Let's look at the big traps. Cars and housing. A wealthy person buys a 3-year-old reliable car for cash or a low-interest loan. It runs for a decade. Total cost is low. A person with bad credit goes to a predatory buy here, pay here lot. They get sold a high-mileage clunker worth $1,000, but they pay $8,000 for it. And because they are high risk, their interest rate is 24%. They end up paying $15,000 for a car worth $4,000. And the car usually dies before the loan is paid off. You are paying a risk premium because society decided you are risky. And you stay risky because you are paying the premium. Housing is the ultimate example. Renting is paying 100% interest. You get zero equity. You are paying your landlord's mortgage. But to buy, you need a down payment. If rent takes half your income, you can never save the down payment. You are trapped paying $2,000 a month in rent for a place. That would cost $1,200 a month to own. You are renting your entire existence. And finally, there is the tax on your time. If you have money, you have a washer and dryer. Laundry takes 5 minutes of active work. If you are broke, you go to the laundromat. It costs money, but worse, it costs 2 hours of your life. That is 2 hours you cannot spend working, resting, or being with family. Poverty steals your time, which destroys your future earning potential. So, how do we break the equation? The problem is standard advice tells you to invest in the stock market for an 8% return. But if you are broke, the best investment isn't the S&P 500. It is escaping the Boots theory penalties. If you have a credit card at 20% interest, paying that off is a guaranteed 20% return. No stock picker can promise you that. If you buy a reliable toaster for $50, so you don't have to replace the $10 one every year, that is a massive return on investment. You need a buffer. That first $1,000 in an emergency fund is not boring savings. It is a weapon. It destroys the poverty premium. When you have $1,000, a flat tire is an annoyance, not a crisis that forces you into a payday loan. That cash allows you to fix the small leak before it becomes a floor replacement. It allows you to buy the bulk toilet paper. That liquidity switches the game from defense to offense. Here is the actionable step. It's not sexy. Audit your life for vampire costs caused by being broke. Where are you bleeding money because you lack cash? Late fees, high interest, single roll purchases. Identify the biggest leak. Then ruthlessly cut everything else until you have the cash to plug that specific leak. If you need $500 to fix your car so it stops burning oil, doing DoorDash for a weekend is a strategic strike against a future expense. You are buying your way out of the trap, one pair of boots at a time. The system relies on you paying the late fees. They budget for your failure. When you understand the math, you can stop blaming yourself and start attacking the penalties. I'm Steve. If this video helped you see the trap, hit that like button. We're going to keep breaking down the rigged game until we all have the high quality boots. Thanks for watching.